Katie Tunstall, how are we?
How?
So how have you been?
I'm just going to answer everything. How?
Yeah.
And then,
Do you have
it'll
a
make you feel more at home.
Do you have a problem like I do, being out here, chatting away to people? Do people look at you really funny, or you...
Not at all, because I'm from St Andrews.
Of course.
So it's people just sort of think that I'm Canadian or something. They don't really get. Very few people pick up that I've got a Scottish accent here, actually.
Right, so you can't sympathise with me at all?
Not at all.
Not at all, no.
But I can. A story that will make you feel better was that I did hear about when The View went to Japan to do their first interviews. They had to have 2 translators.
2?
They had to have someone who understood Dundonian to tell the Japanese translator what they were saying, which was great.
That's pretty decent. So you're just back from the Jules Holland tour, right?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was fantastic. I played with him before, and it's just a lovely, lovely gig where I get to sing in a way that I don't usually sing, and it's music that I don't usually get to be part of, which is the big kind of rhythm and blues brass big band, and his piano, he just does this.
Right.
And it's fantastic. He's such a good guy. He's very, as a person, he's very similar to what you see on TVs.
Right.
Very funny, very smart, and really fun to be around. So it's just a great thing to do, and I just get to go on and sing one of my songs. I sing a Jackson 5 song and I sing an Ella Fitzgerald song. So it's just gorgeous,
That's great.
in that big band style, which I don't usually do. And the Ella tune that we do is Night and Day. And it's just amazing. I'm not playing guitar, I'm just a singer, and it's great. I really enjoy that.
Awesome, man.
It took me a while to work out what to do with my hands, because I'd never done that before. And the Jim Kerr kind of point. I don't do that.
So, and you're out later in a year with Jules doing the UK leg of the tour. That's really cool.
Yes, I'm back there for June, and then I'm going back again in November, December to do some Christmassy stuff as well, just the Christmas dates with them as well. But most of the time I'm out here, which is great.
So, and we spoke about that the last time, and of course everybody's really excited online because you've got the solo tour coming up, but you're out here.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
You're playing pretty much everywhere, aren't you?
It's a little mini tour, and it came about because I went and played a benefit gig at a really cool kids school in Manhattan called the Church Street School, and it's an arts and music school for toddlers right up to kind of 15-year-olds. And one of the guys being honoured at that dinner was the guy who runs the City Wineries, which are just a really lovely chain of venues out here where they make their own wine, they serve really good food, and then they get a show. And it's usually centred around singer-songwriters who just do something quite stripped down. And they've got New York, Chicago, Nashville and Napa up north of here, which are sort of gig hotspots really. Not so much Napa, but it's nice to go up there. And then I'm just tagging a little show here on the end in LA at the Troubadour. So it's great, and it's just also a kind of, my experience of touring is usually that it has to be tied on to something you're selling. And it's very nice to just do one independent of trying to push a product on people.
Right.
I'm just going out to see fans and play a complete range of stuff from all the records and some weird stuff that I might throw in and covers and whatever. So it's just fun.
It must be that you're at that stage now. The fan base is there. Everything's sorted. You're not, like you said, promoting a certain product. That must be a great feeling.
It's a wicked feeling. It's kind of what it's all about, really. And you only realise that if you get it. And because at first, I mean, I was so spoiled because that first record I did was so big, unexpectedly. I was like, this is easy, man. This is great. You just put a record out and it sells millions of copies. Excellent. And then, of course, it's not like that at all. It was a really unusual alignment of factors that made that record that successful, and then you've got the pressure of backing it up. And unfortunately for my record label, I'm never really going to do the same thing again and again. So the second record, a bunch of people just went, what, Ebbs Tunstall? We're going to go and find someone who sounds like your last record. And so, but the people who stay with you, particularly for me, when I want to explore different stuff and different styles and different ideas on every record, I've got a really flexible fan base who are very loyal and very tolerant. So they'll come with me on something, even if they don't like it at first. They tend to be like, okay, well, we'll stick with it. We'll listen to it a few more times. And the difficult thing is that with the way music is now, it's a very saturated world, and I actually find it very difficult to get to the people who like what I do. So there's a lot of people out there who like my stuff and don't know that I've got a new record out.
Right.
And that's the difficult thing. If you're not on TV, which I usually try not to be unless it's playing music, then it's a little difficult to get to everyone, because that's really the main line in now these days. But I think there's a lot of room to be creative online and engage people.
Yeah, absolutely. We cool? Yeah, absolutely fine.
Are we cool though? Like, are we cool?
Are we cool? Like, are we hip and trendy?
No.
I'm not.
We'll work on it.
We'll work on it. There's a vicious rumour going about you
Really?
online. Yes. You got into trouble on round about your 40th birthday for climbing on something in an art gallery. Is there any truth to this horrendous?
Totally true. Completely true.
Okay.
I nearly had a bust up with the security guard in the art gallery. Because one thing that you'll find, kids, when you get to this age, is that you start to not give a shit, which is actually very liberating and also quite dangerous, because if someone really pisses you off, there's much less of a barrier to call them a twat in public, which I would never dream of. I would never dream of causing trouble when I was younger, and now my tolerance level is quite low for idiocy, which I display myself often, and so I'm quite happy for it to come back at me as well. But I was at the Hayward Gallery, and it was in London, and it was a guy called Carsten Bowler, I think is his name. He's a Scandi of some description, and he'd done this really cool quite interactive exhibition where there's like two big metal tube slides coming down the outside of the building that you can go down, and there's stuff that you can touch, and there's mobiles that you can move, and all of that stuff. And right towards the end of the gallery, there's this massive dice. It's like a 6-foot high 3D dice, and the holes on each side you can climb in.
Right.
And as me and my friend Lizzie were walking past it, we could just kind of see these pairs of feet sticking out. Didn't really clock how old the feet were, but we were like, wicked, let's get in there. So I climbed up the dice and I climbed into the hole, and laughing, fun, art's fun. And then this just tool security guard just goes, "You're not allowed to climb on that." And I was like, well, there were other people climbing on it before me. Were they not allowed either? But you were here, but they were allowed. And you were like, "Children only." And he points to this like tiny little post-it note on the wall that says, "No adults, only under 14s climbing on the dice, please." Absolutely impossible to see. And I was livid. I was just so angry, because I was really enjoying myself climbing on a piece of art. And I said, well, that's ridiculous, and you should really have a word about that and make it a bit bigger so people can see it. And that was it. And I did, and then I...
So your climbing fun was ruined.
Huh?
Your climbing fun was ruined.
Totally ruined. No, I mean, it wasn't, because I'd done it.
You've done it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already done it. You
Yeah.
can't get me into trouble. Awesome.
So it's done.
And so you mentioned the tolerance level, you don't mind calling people a whatever anymore.
Yeah.
What age, because I'm intrigued by this one, what age did that happen? Is this in the last 2 years, 5 years?
No,
what
there
time
was
frame?
definitely a significant turning point when my mum, who's in her 70s now, it was about 5-6 years ago, I think, and we were in Edinburgh, and she was in a glasses. She went to try and find some new glasses, and the woman was very friendly and came up to her and just goes, "Hello, madam, can I help you at all?" And she was like, "Oh, I'll try these on." And she just went, no, and walked out of the shop. And I was like, "Mum," and she was like, "What? I didn't like them." And I was like, "Cool."
So your mum has
Like, well,
influenced.
yeah, I think there's been a little emphasis. Just watching, and just and having relationships with older people and realizing that it's very, and obviously you don't want to be unkind. I'm not promoting being unpleasant to people unnecessarily. There's necessary unpleasantness that can occur, but it's more just not wasting your energy on appeasing people, I think, is what it's about, really. It's about just, I've been a pretty hardcore people pleaser for a lot of my life, and that has changed massively in the last few years.
Awesome. You're going to like this, right? You're dead good at guitar, you're dead good at singing, and dead good at writing songs, but the question that everybody wants to know is, can you play the kashishi? No. Have you heard of a kashishi?
What is a kashishi? Do you have one?
Come here.
Oh, come on. I'm seeing what's in it. We're in Venice, and it looks like it's full of like rose quartz or something.
Right.
Okay, so this is kashishi.
Right, so
Where's it
shaker
from?
It is from Brazil initially. Alright. So essentially, right, there's a hard bit of wood at the bottom, so you get two different sounds.
Yeah.
And that. So the Bo Diddley thing, right?
Yeah. Hang on. Yes!
Stop on this one.
Kashishi done. Tick. Nice one, man.
It's a kashishi handshake, man. You can do all sorts, you can do things with the
That's
tune.
really good.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it's great. Can I have it?
Right, so you do the thing where you can do we'll cut this bit out if you can't do this one, right? Because right now you're looking really strong
We
in the
will
public's
cut
eye.
nothing.
Right, okay.
This is real.
Right, okay, so the thing with the two of them, right? I'll do it quick and I'll slow it down, right? Right, so
Okay. Okay. I love your placement.
yeah, it's
Beautiful.
I don't know, it's
Now bear in mind this is Scott's job, so okay.
what this sounds dead wanky, right? But genuinely, so somebody told me this, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Shut up!" But they were actually right. If you hold it like that, you do genuinely get more control.
Okay.
I don't know.
Control.
So
Really nice earrings too.
absolutely.
Okay.
She's a witch.
Is that it?
Yes.
Hang on. Hang on. Nearly. Oh. I'm forgetting about this one. See, guitar, this hand just stays there. Your drumming things, you do both hands things. So you just do one shake on that.
You go, but I'm explaining things. Really close.
Oh. I see.
Isn't that the coolest thing ever? We'll quieten it down. This is your fault. This would never have happened. Causing
now-
problems in art galleries in London, now causing
I
problems
think
in
we
Los
should now
Angeles.
go around and interview everyone to find out who complained about that.
Yes, it's probably that same guy back in London. But sorry about that, we'll reconvene later in a soundproofed environment for the latter half of the
Love
day.
the
You pretty much
kimchi-
got it, haven't you?
kimchishi.
Kashishi.
Fantastic.
There you go. Right, so...
And thank you for all the dead goods, because I don't hear dead good enough here. No one says dead good.
No, what else
I
do
miss it.
what else do you miss? Do you miss Fairy Liquids?
No, I don't miss Fairy Liquid. I miss Tunnock's tea cakes. I had one in Glasgow when I went home. That was very nice. And I bought a Tunnock's tea tea towel. So I've got that in my kitchen now. What else do I miss? Good cup of tea, to be honest.
What have you knocked back musically again? My song can't be used on that, or I can't do that gig.
In general, I haven't done car adverts, which is really annoying because they're very ubiquitous and lucrative. But I've done so much work towards trying to tour in a green way, trying to engage myself with environmental stuff, that just felt too close to, even though I drive a car and I get in cars all the time and I really like cars, I just couldn't really engage with that side of promotion. That and banks. I'd never do a bank advert for fairly obvious reasons. Having said that, if I drive a hybrid and I'm about to start driving an electric, and if a car company was making a really good hybrid car, a good electric car, then of course, because I'm all for promoting something that's a step in the right direction for that stuff.
What was the place that we were in the other day?
Yesterday.
Really good electric cars.
Where?
Where?
Downtown here.
Was it?
There's some amazing electric cars here.
Tiesto.
It's Tesla.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Couldn't believe it.
Tesla. So that's what I'm about to start
Right, I was
driving.
going to ask you that because there's not many on the market.
When sports cars and environmental awareness meet, is a
Combined.
beautiful place with like an A4 touchscreen. It's amazing. My only concern is it's quite an executive looking car. So that'll weird me out a bit, but it's an amazing piece of kit. It's just a beautiful car to drive, looks amazing, and never uses a drop of petrol. So
You can't whinge at that.
Yeah,
You can't
great.
whinge at that. A few random questions are going to throw at you. In a different kind of alternate universe, what would be your club singer name?
my club singer name. Is there not some way of figuring this out, of like your first pet and where you lived or something? Because your porn name is your first pet and your
Mother's maiden name?
Yes. What's yours?
Trixie Main.
That's fantastic. Mine's Fuggy Wuggy Bibbington.
Yours is what?
Fuggy Wuggy Bibbington.
That's
Which
pretty cool.
It's pretty sordid, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But I think I had a friend from Puerto Rico whose porn name was Princess Santiago, and I might use that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So porn name's covered. Although that's also going to cross over into your career as the
I'm just going to
club.
borrow my friend Mario's porn name and be Princess Santiago,
Right. So
the
let's
club singer.
talk us through this. Then, what would the club set? What would you start with? What would you know? What song would you
I
start
think
the set?
what I'd quite like to do is sort of like lounge versions of really good 90s dance tunes.
Right.
So, like, you know, me, quite a lot. I think I'd look quite draggy. It'd be
Right.
quite a nice opportunity to wear a lot of makeup and a massive wig.
Right.
Sort of Jessica Rabbit dress.
Right.
Pump up the jam, pump it up. Now the beat is pumping.
You got to do it properly.
And what else would I sing? I do. Take a leave it. You won't believe it, but I'm never gonna be respectable.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so it'll be all.
How would you how would you interact with the crowds?
I think I'd have to talk like that. It'd be, hello everybody, welcome to the club. My name is Princess Santiago. I'm going to be singing some classic 90s dance tunes for you tonight, all to the sounds of my band called The Gaze. Gaze, because they're going to look in your eyes. Give it up for The Gaze, everybody. Yeah, that's how it's going
pretty
down.
Awesome. I think you're onto something.
With fish and chips. Yeah. Everyone
you could be
gets.
in that band.
Everyone get. Yeah, you could be the band.
We could be the gays.
You could be
Yeah,
the gays.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Gaze. That's
Exactly.
pretty awesome. Now, you're good at the accents. One thing
Yeah.
I've noticed, you're out in Hollywood, you're doing a lot of films. How comfortable would you be reading from a script?
Well, I did a lot of acting as a kid, and my high point was Anne Frank in the stage play at the Byre Theatre in St Andrews. Queue out the door, and it was fantastic. I was 16, and it was an all ages cast because a lot of the stuff that I'd done when I was younger was just like kids theatre, and this was the first thing I'd done where it was a proper adult cast with kids in it. And I loved doing theatre. It was really the first time I got into that way before music, and it was the first time I witnessed that transaction of being on stage and doing something quite selfish that you're enjoying, and then realizing that that's actually providing enjoyment for other people, which is awesome. You know, you're
Again, this is a sign. Electric cars, way forward.
Exactly. Which is something that will be magical about playing music for the rest of my life, and I'm sure for everyone who goes up, is that you are doing what you want to do, and it's the thing that everyone enjoys is you enjoying yourself. So there are people who don't find performing easy and do it anyway, and I find that really difficult to understand. Why would you push through that unpleasantness and continue to do it? I find that really fascinating, actually, because I do genuinely love the communication and the performance with, and but I don't get nervous per se. I get excited, but I get very nervous if I don't know what I'm doing. That's the only time I'll kind of get really uncomfortably nervous, if I'm in the dark about if I don't know my words or that kind of thing. But yes, I loved theatre, and then I did Scottish Youth Theatre up in Glasgow. It was the first time I kind of left home, really. It was like 5 weeks in Glasgow, and loved it. But by the end of it, I was like, I don't know if I really want to be saying someone else's lines and being told what to do with every move I make. And I just, on that course when I was 15 was when I started writing songs. And at the end, it was at the old Athenaeum Theatre on Buchanan Street, which I went to see the other day. It's not there anymore, but very nostalgic place for me. And at the end of that, they did this thing where you do a skit or a comedy sketch or whatever at the end as like a party. And I just decided to do a song instead. I'd got my guitar with me, and that was the first time I ever got on stage and played a song in front of people, and it went down pretty well. Yeah. And so from then on, I kind of left acting behind, but I've always loved it, and I've recently gone back to it a little bit. I've just done a short film with James Cosmo, great Scottish actor, fantastic guy to work with, and I was having major Game of Thrones fangirl moments, just going, don't say anything, and he's a wonderful guy. And film acting was really fun because it's just, you just have to feel it and it's done. You don't have to make any of the facial or gesticular effort that you make on stage. It's a lot more subtle, and I really enjoyed it. So I would be totally open to doing more of that.
That being said, you ready for this? Just to show that how good Katie is and how versatile is when it comes to music, acting as well. If you can just be so kind, we're just down the road from Hollywood.
Yeah.
We're going to play the role. Katie's going to play the role of Forrest Gump, the opening scene. If you could be so kind. I'm going to play the role of the random black woman, and that is in the script online. That's what it actually says.
It says random black woman.
Yes, it does. So to set the scene, a bus pulls up. Forrest remains at the bus bench as the bus continues.
I feel like I should put this on the other way around if I'm Forrest Gump. Do you know what
Absolutely. I mean? Forrest Gump back to front baseball? Yeah, we'll do it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it looks better.
Black woman in a nurse's outfit steps up and sits down at the bus next to Forrest. Yada yada yada. Bus goes by. Forrest has a box of chocolates. We'll go with it. Do the accent and all that shit.
Hello.
Oh, in fact, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Katie Tunstall, does Forrest Gump take one?
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. I open box of chocolates and hold them out for Nurse. You want a chocolate? Long, uncomfortable pause. I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mama always said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Forrest eats the chocolate as he looks down at the nurse's shoes. He continues to talk with his mouth full. Those must be comfortable shoes. I bet you could walk all day in shoes like that, not feel a thing. I wish I had shoes like that.
My feet hurt.
You're Scottish.
I'm not good with the accents.
Mama always said there's an awful lot you could tell about a person by their shoes. I completely agree with that.
That's
Rule
true.
of life. It's all about the shoes. Where they're going, where they've been. The black woman stares at Forrest as he looks down at his own shoes. I've worn lots of shoes. I bet if I think about it real hard, I could remember my first pair of shoes. Mama said they'd take me anywhere.
That's excellent.
Alright,
One
back
more,
to
one
myself,
more,
back to-
one
Oh,
more.
really?
We'll do one more. It's a monologue, I believe they call it, Scarface, to Tony Montana. Mike, if you could be so kind.
Do you know what? I'm going up to the Scarface house in about 2 weeks' time
way.
in Montesino. So I'll keep this,
Yes.
remember it, and then just give it in situ.
Here we go. Mike, if you could be so kind.
Keith Tunstall, Scarface, take it.
What you looking at? You're a bunch of fucking assholes. You know why? You don't have the guts to be what you want to be. You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So, what that make you? Good? You're not good. You just know how to hide. How to lie. Me, I don't have that problem. Me, I always tell the truth, even when I lie. So say goodnight to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you, come on. Make way for the bad guy. There's a bad guy coming through. Better get out of his way.
Pow, 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 pow. Try not to choke when you swallow on that. It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Awesome. You want to keep that?
Yeah, I'm
for
gonna keep that.
Keep that. Awesome. Brilliant. So you're judgmental about folks' shoes then? What do you what do we think?
I like them. I think,
We're all
what
right?
are these? These are Adidas. They are
Gazettes, I do believe.
gazelles.
Gazelles, gazettes.
Yeah, that's Adidas's new weekly newspaper.
Adidas's Gazette. No, that's the cheap version. That's the one you buy in the little stalls.
Yeah, the Adidas Gazelles. It's a guy who likes to be comfortable, I think. Not quite sure where the day is going to go. Might need a more comfortable pair of shoes. Might do a bit of parkour. Who knows? But also a pop of colour in his life.
There you go.
You know, a little bit crazy.
So, you are. Is there a new album on the way? What's the
There's
deal?
totally a new album on the way, and it was a little kind of 40th birthday present to fans on Facebook that I said that I was indeed making a new album, and it was quite unexpected. I was expecting to kind of get the film stuff was really distracting me a lot from wanting to do records, and I wasn't sure I wanted to tour. I thought I needed a bit of a break, and I was a bit burnt out from it. Because that last record was not an expected record either, and it was a really difficult time in my life. And going out and playing that record, I don't think I prepared that much for just physically. For at that time, after my dad had gone and my life had turned upside down, to then go out on the road, and I was solo. And I'd come away from it sort of feeling I loved playing, and I loved the communication with the fans, and I loved that it was emotional. But I was just left feeling a little bit worn out by it. And I think what was great in the last 6 months, and doing the Jules gigs and doing a couple of one-off shows myself, was working out that actually it was just a very physical thing, where when I play music I want to sweat, and I want to be physical, and I want a crowd in front of me being physical. And that last record just demanded that it was going to be theatres and everyone was sitting down and it was very serene. And so actually I think it's pretty much mostly that I just need there to be sweat involved in a gig, and I can't really do a tour of just down-tempo stuff. It was good for me then, but I wouldn't do it again. Well, never say never, but not this one anyway. So yeah, I'm excited to be writing music that's it's back to being very big pop, and it's living here has definitely made its mark. I love Fleetwood Mac, I love Tom Petty.
Yeah.
And so I'm writing these songs that they've got a weird 90s shoegazy vibe to them. They're slightly indie band sounding, but they're big choruses with loads of backing vocals, and it's very joyous.
Excellent.
So I'm through the dark heartland and kind of out into the wilderness now, where it feels very liberating. And one of the great things about being out here, there's just a massive sense of space living here that you just can't get in the UK, because it's an island and it's a different climate and it's a very different landscape. And here, I would find in the UK that I'd always be very aware of what other people were making. So when I was making a record, I'd really have to try not to listen to the radio or not to read anything. I didn't want to know what anyone else was making, because it would always make me just go, oh, the Killers are really big right now. Maybe you should just do like a disco beat, you know. Yeah. And it would just influence my choices. Right. Which I don't think is necessarily good. And also just going, oh, well, maybe if I make it a little bit more like this, then that would make it better to get it on that, or, you know. And it's commercial thinking, and it's not helpful to me. So out here, it's just gone. I just couldn't care. I don't care I don't even know what other people are doing. So in that sense, I guess you're just kind of out of touch, which is great.
That's really, that's very interesting. I think that's where every musician or every songwriter would kind of inspire to be at. It's that kind of stage where they don't have to worry about, you know, people put pressure on them to chart hits or whatever it may be. Lastly, word association. I'll throw through names at you. You give us a word or a line. What do you think of that person? Jack White.
Iconoclastic. Thank God for him. I saw him at Coachella, and I've always been a fan. But with all the greats getting very old now, with Bob Dylan and Neil Young and all of them, just there's that generation, Patti Smith, they're all getting into their 70s now. And me and a friend, and I'm not a hip hop fan, that's where like the really great political important music is coming from at the moment, is hip hop. And I don't listen to it. It's just not my thing. So it can leave you feeling like there's no one doing really important, amazing stuff. And there's great people, but I'm talking about people who are actually in the major public consciousness. And Jack White, I think, is one of the superb examples of that, of our generation, who's doing that. So I'm very grateful for him.
John Martin.
Fingernails. I bet he had amazing fingernails. I hope he kept them clean though. I mean, it's a bit spooky when a guy's got long nails, and then you find out if he's a really good guitarist, it's okay, but you gotta keep them. You can't have grotty fingernails. But yeah, I mean, beautiful. Just I don't know his stuff really, really well, but there's a mood to his music that just is very transporting, and I think that's a sign of a very powerful writer and performer if they take you somewhere, rather than you using it to be the soundtrack of your shit. There's some people who just take you somewhere that you've not been before, and I think he's one of them.
Django Reinhardt.
Do I have to come up with single words for these people?
No.
Oh, okay, great. So Django Reinhardt is like my music. He's like in the same. He's in the same place as Ivor Cutler for me, where if I'm ever struggling, if I'm traveling and I'm in a stressful airport, or I'm feeling disconnected or lonely, or any of those feelings of disconnection, then Django Reinhardt and Ivor Cutler, how dare they? When I'm talking about Ivor Cutler and Django Reinhardt, no respect. You think I'm a bad guy? Yeah, those two are the two things that I'll put on that immediately ground me and just make me feel calm and present. And yeah, I listen to Django Reinhardt all the time, in the car, at home. There's just something totally, essentially meaningful about his music. I love it. It makes me feel great.
Glad to hear it. We're all massive Django freaks.
Yeah.
That concludes our chat, our second chat. Katie Tunstall in the house.
Yeah!
Tony
You
slash
go
Tony
around
Montana.
this one where you get,
Right,
no, you go
right,
like
I'll
that,
show
and
you
then middle finger, thumb.
Show me that again.
Yeah.
I'll show you my
get,
one. I'll show you my one, right? So your person goes in and you do that. Only one person can do the click, so you do the click.
Okay,
That's it.
nice.
There you go.
Do people still do handshakes like that?
I don't think so.
I don't think they do. I
so.
think
I think they stopped doing them in 1991.
I have this really awful thing as well, that whenever I meet a teenager, I just immediately start going, "Oh, that's wicked!" And they're like, "Oh my god, you're so old." I'm like, "Okay." No one says wicked anymore.
But, you know,
This place is so hectic. Yeah.
hectic, that's another one. And there's a lot of things that are starting to make me feel old.
Yeah.
Like when people see Noel Gallagher as they don't know they was an Oasis, that freaks me out.
Yeah. I don't feel old, but I know I am. It's kind of nice.
You know, but the thing is though, I'm just resigning myself to the fact that I'm always going to be a big kid.
Yeah.
You know? But I think once you realise...
I had an amazing LA experience, which I'll quickly tell you about, which is I got an Uber the other day, and my driver was Akihiro. What's his name? Akihiro Kutanami? I can't remember. But he's an actor, and he's the head of the Human Centipede.
No way.
Yeah. And I've not seen it, I couldn't watch it. My guitarist, Charlotte Hathaway, obsessed with the Human Centipede. So of course, take a picture with him and go, "Charlotte, I'm with the head of the Human Centipede." And I was like, I can't watch that film, it's disgusting. But we were talking about Japan, because I love Japan.
Right.
And I was saying to him, the reason I think Japan is so great, I mean, everywhere's got its weirdness and its problems, but what I think is great about Japan is they're just children. They're like, there's no shame and there's no inhibition with Japanese adults being very childlike. So they're mad for Disney, they're mad for Hello Kitty, they're mad for little toys and cute things, and they're just giggling all the time. And you go over there and there's just this real sense of the child being alive in adults in Japan, which we iron out, which we shouldn't do. So just keep wearing the gazelles.
Keep acting like an idiot.
Keep acting like a tool.
That's great
All
advice.
great,
That's
yeah.
great advice. You must be really... This will be the last thing, right? You must be really pleased with this. I don't know if you know this, but you made the front cover of the podcast thing. You see this online? Check this shit, right?
No.
It's a new logo. There's you.
Oh.
There you go. So there you go. You can...
I love that drawing.
It's cool,
My
isn't it?
hat on. It's
Larry
great.
Graham, Proclaimers and all that. Brilliant. So there you go.
Superb.
Thought I'd show you that.
Love it. Thank you very much.
No problem. You done
It's
that.
nice to see you in the hood.
Yeah, man.
Now we should have some kind of probiotic green bowl with
Record the
macadamia
hip-hop
nuts.
album.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Katie Tunstall, everybody. There we go.